Does Jurgen Klopp need to strengthen his side this January to help Liverpool lift the league title? Salah and Endo are away at AFCON and the Asia Cup until possibly February, and Robertson and Tsimikas are injured. They won't be back until February, maybe even March. It's dependent upon how they recover from their respective injuries. So does that mean that Jurgen Klopp will have to dip into the market for a right winger, for a left back and for a DM? In today's video I'm going to be answering that and discussing all the talking points surrounding Liverpool's squad at the moment and whether or not they need to address these issues in January to help propel themselves towards the Premier League title. So let's start at left back where the majority of Liverpool's issues lie. So at the moment Joe Gomez is Liverpool's primary left back and he is a good player. He offers something going forward, he's solid defensively, he's composed on the ball and he does a job at left back and he has experience playing there before earlier on in his career. But the problem is with Gomez playing at left back is there's no cover for Trent on the right hand side. Yes, you've got Conor Bradley, but he's very inexperienced, he's very naive, and can he really replicate what Trent is doing when Trent's not playing? When you want a player to fill in for a player when they're out, either injured or needing a rest, you want them to sort of replicate not fully what they can do, because it's impossible, but replicate some of what they can do. When these two are fit, Tsimikas does most of what Robertson does. Yes, not to the level of Robertson, but he can do what most of Robertson does. And that's, I'm not sure what you really get with Conor Bradley. Whereas with Gomez, yes, I know he's a completely different player, but he's still a very experienced one who has experience playing at the top level and can fill in and do a job for Trent. So that's the main problem there. And also Gomez is never going to get a rest at left back because the backup left back options are Scanlon and Luke Chambers. And yes, both players are exciting prospects, just like Conor Bradley, but they've only played in the Europa League this season. They haven't featured in the Premier League, and that sort of indicates that Klopp doesn't fully trust them yet, because if he did fully trust them, we would have seen them play Premier League football and get Premier League minutes under their belt, and they haven't. So at the moment, Joe Gomez and Trent are almost looking over their shoulder thinking, if I'm tired or if I'm injured, who's coming on for me? Kids. And it's not really what you want for a team that's challenging for the Premier League. So that leaves the question of, do Liverpool need to sign a fullback? And yes, I think they do, but not a conventional fullback like a Robertson or a Tsimikas, a fullback like a Nathan Ake, Josko Gvardiol or Ben White. And you might think, why? Liverpool like to play with attacking fullbacks. Robertson and Tsimikas are very good at their job, and they are. But I think the way this team's evolving, I think with Trent dropping into midfield and obviously having that license to attack and create from central areas and out wide when he does shift out there, I think you really want a solid left back. Because earlier on in the season, yes, Robertson was doing a good job at fitting in as that third centre back in the back three, but he did look sometimes out of place, and obviously he likes to go forward. That's his natural instinct. So I think if we got someone like an Ake, like a Gvardiol, I think they could do a really good job over on that side, because they could play in that left back role and they could obviously play centre back as well. And I think you've got to look at Van Dijk's replacement in a few years, because although Van Dijk's in fine form at the moment, he's not going to be in that sort of form for the next 3 to 4 years, especially given his injury. Yes, I know his ACL injury doesn't seem to affect him at the moment. He's playing really well, but that's going to take its toll on you as your career progresses, and later down the line at some point we're going to have to replace him. So like I said, if we did sign a player who's a left-footed centre-back / left back, they could almost cover for Van Dijk when he's not available and maybe be the future replacement for him, and they could also be that future replacement at left back for Robertson when we change the system, which I think we will, but I'm not too sure when. So yeah, I think we need to look at a player like Ignacio, or I think it's Hincapié or something from Leverkusen, but the problem is those two would be expensive, and especially Hincapié, would Leverkusen want to sell him in January when they're trying to challenge for the Bundesliga? I'm not too sure, but both do look like very good options that we could sign in the January window if the funds are right and if both clubs are willing to let them go. So that's the left back and full back positions talked about. Centre back, I sort of touched upon it with Van Dijk, but we've got Van Dijk, Quansah, Konate and Gomez at the moment, but obviously Gomez is playing left back and right back and he's covering for both positions, so he's almost at the equation of playing centre back. So effectively you've got 3 centre backs, and that's not really what you want, because Konate's injury record's not the best. Quansah, although has looked very good and shown signs of promise, he's very young, experienced and naive, and Van Dijk, you can't just run him into the ground, because if he does get an injury or if he does get fatigued, it will cost us later down the line, because he's been our best player this season. So I do think looking at a centre-back this window would be advisable, but like I said, I think it should be a centre-back who can play left-back as well as centre-back, as opposed to just a centre-back primarily. But obviously it's going to be hard to buy a player of that profile at the right price, but hopefully we can, because it would really benefit us this season. So now let's move on to defensive midfield, which is another position we need to address moving forward. Yes, we've got Endo, McAllister, Jones, Bajcetic and Thiago who can all play in the 6, but we haven't got a world-class player there. Since Fabinho's gone, we haven't really found that elite replacement, and when Fabinho was at his peak, he was so instrumental to our success and so pivotal within our team. He was effective in the first and second phase of build-up, he was press resistant, he had a brilliant passing range, he was brilliant in the challenge, the way he read the game was excellent, the way he stopped counter-attacks was brilliant, and we haven't really found that replacement. Yes, Endo does a job, he's tenacious, he gets himself about, he's decent in the challenge, but he's not a profile of a Fabinho. And when you look at Rice and Rodri, they're just a whole nother level above Endo in terms of all-round quality, and look how key they are to Arsenal and City. So I think we need to sign a DM who's like McAllister and Endo, combined, almost has the on-the-ball qualities of McAllister and the off-the-ball qualities of Endo. Maybe like a João Paulinho, or sort of a player along that profile who's experienced, because I think Bajcetic could be the future DM for us, but at the moment he's very naive, he's very inexperienced, and he's quite injury prone. But if he does get that more experience under his belt and gets rid of those little niggling injuries that he has, he could be a very key player for us moving forward. But at the moment, we need to sign a player who's a true destroyer, good on the ball, got a good passing range, and could be elite in that position from the get-go. And I think a player like Paulinho would be very, very good. But prizing him away from Fulham would be hard because they'll want a lot of money. It's mid-season, so it would be very tricky to sign him. But it is a must at some point in the January window or in the summer that we sign a DM in that position, a specialist, a world-class specialist. As far as central midfielders go, we don't need to address that area of the pitch, maybe not even in the summer, and definitely not January. It's a waste of time and a waste of money if we do, because we've got so many options. We've got 5 really, really good options at the moment, that being McAllister, Szoboszlai, Gravenberch, Elliott and Jones. All players aren't the most experienced, but they're also not inexperienced. They've all had years at the top level and they all look like really quality talents. So now let's move on to the final part of the team, which is the forward line, and most notably the right wing position. Asada, for years upon years since Shaqiri left, has been the only primary right winger in our team. Yes, you can play Elliott out there, but as we've seen, Klopp prefers him in midfield, and we've had players like Bendo, Minamino, Jota, Gakpo, Nunes Diaz all sort of filling out there, but none of them can do what Mo Salah does. Bendo does look the most promising in the sense of it looks more natural to him. He's got a lot of good qualities, especially his dribbling, but he's only like 17, 18 and he's injured at the moment, so he's not going to replace Salah anytime soon. Maybe in a couple of years, but not at the moment. So it's really key that we do address that position. And I don't think we should this January, because I do think we've got a lot of good options there that can play in that position for the remainder of the month until Salah comes back. Like Elliott, you could utilise him out there. Although I don't know if Klopp will, because we don't have many bodies in midfield at the moment, with Thiago Bajcetic being injured, Szoboszlai being injured and Endo being at the Asia Cup. So I don't think he will utilise Elliott out there, because we do need bodies in midfield for rotation purposes. But you can play Jota out there, you can play Diaz, Nunes, Gakpo. They can all do a job out there. Yes, they're not a natural fit because they're not naturally left-footed. They don't have the same potency as Salah on the right wing. They're not as naturally gifted out there as they are maybe in their natural positions. Like, for example, Darwin Núñez, he's very effective through the middle and on the left. I don't think really he would be on the right, but he can do a job there. And that's what we've got, plenty of players who can fit in for Salah at the moment. So I don't think we need to adjust that position. But in the future, it will be key that we do find the right replacement for this man, because it's going to be very hard to replace his goals. Yes, at the moment, a lot of people are saying he's not playing very well, and he hasn't been this season, in the sense of when he picks up the ball, his dribble success rate is pretty low. He often loses it with sloppy passing, but his moments of quality are always there. He will have a bad game and still bag 2 goals, like he did against Everton this season. That's how good he is. He doesn't need to have 100 chances to score, it can just be 1. And he's a brilliant finisher. He's brilliant in all attributes. He doesn't stand out in one. He's just very complete in all of them. So it'd be very hard to replicate Salah's goals and very hard to replicate him when he leaves Liverpool. But at the moment, like I said, I don't think we need to sign anyone this window. So ultimately, to round up the video, I think we need to sign a left-footed, left centre-back / left-back, that's a mouthful, and a DM this window to propel us on to the Premier League title. I think that would be enough. But yes, like I said, I don't think we'll sign anyone in particular, so I think this is the current squad that we'll have to deal with until the end of the season. Before we wrap up the video, hit the like button and the subscribe button and comment down below what positions you think Liverpool need to address this January. Do you think that we need to sign anyone at all? And if you do think we need to sign someone, where do you think we need to strengthen? Is it left back? Is it DM? Is it right wing? Or is it another position that I haven't identified this video? Anyway, thanks for watching and we'll catch you in the next one.